Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to dive into something that might not sound super exciting at first, vendor contracts, but before you continue on your scrolling journey, I promise it's not as dry as it sounds. Vendor contracts are like the ultimate relationship guide for businesses, except instead of love, it's all about goods and services and maybe a little haggling. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know the ins and outs of vendor contracts like a pro. So what exactly is a vendor contract? Think of it as the rules of engagement between you and a supplier. It's a written agreement that says, hey, here's what I'm going to do for you and what you're going to do for me. Vendor contracts come into play at any time you're working with a supplier for goods or services, whether it's office supplies, tech support, or the rental space for your building. There are many types of contracts, including purchase agreements. These are one-time deals like buying 100 widgets. Then there's service line agreements. These are for ongoing services like hiring an IT consultant. Then there's master agreements, the umbrella of contracts that cover everything you're going to do with the vendor. But hopefully businesses are moving towards different terminology like framework agreements. Part of understanding vendor contracts is the life cycle of a contract. Yes, contracts have life cycles, kind of like butterflies, but way less magical. Here's how it works. First is the need, right? You've identified that you need to buy some sort of software or you need to hire a contractor to do some renos or something, right? After that, it's the drafting. This is step 2. Most companies, vendors already have some sort of template for the contract. Don't worry if you're not a lawyer, neither am I. You just have to focus on the commercial terms like pricing or payment terms. After that, we're going to be looking at negotiations. So really, we're looking for those win-win situations because it is a partnership at the end of the day. After that, it's going to be the approval, the sign-off from both sides saying, yes, I agree to these terms. And then after that, by far the most important, in my opinion, is the management of the contract, right? This is the compliance. You want to make sure that the vendor is doing what they said they were going to do. Think of it like planning a wedding. Lots of prep for a big moment of an agreement and then a lifetime of managing expectations. Now let's get into the good stuff, the key areas of a contract. These are the commercial things you can absolutely not ignore. Pricing and payment. We're talking about how much is it going to cost and when is the payment due, right? So we really want to make sure that it's crystal clear that there's no awkward, I thought it was due in 30 conversation later. The longer the payment, the longer you get to hold on to your money, which means that you get to increase your cash flow, okay? And be sure to ask all about the related costs, right? It's not just the base costs. You want to think about warranty, shipping, even disposal costs, anything that might be associated so that we can understand the total costs of the contract. Now for term and termination. Contracts are like relationships. Some live forever, while others, you got to check the end date. So you really need to make sure that there's a sweet spot of about 2.5 to 3 years for the term of the contract. So that way you can get out at any time. Make sure that you're given the same courtesy. Liability and indemnity. We're talking about who's to blame, right? Where's the risk lying? You want to make sure that you're not taking all of the risk, and you can always make sure that you copy and paste those terms into ChatGPT or Gemini to ask AI to help identify those areas of risk to your business. If you skip these parts, you might end up paying for mistakes you didn't make, or worse, locked into a deal you cannot escape. It's like signing up for a subscription you just can't cancel. Okay, let's talk negotiation. Picture this. You're at a flea market and you're trying to get the best deal on an antique lamp. That's basically what negotiation is, just with fewer antiques and more legal jargon. Here are my top tips. Know your stuff. Research the vendor and the market prices and trends. Focus on interests, not positions. Instead of saying something like, I need this price, say, here's what I need to achieve. It opens the door for creative solutions. Don't be afraid to walk away. Sometimes the best deal is the only one you don't make. Remember, desperation's not a good look. Build and maintain relationships. A good relationship can lead to better terms in the future, so keep it professional but friendly. Maybe save the poker face for Vegas. Ask for concessions. If you don't ask, you don't get. Simple as that. Create a negotiation playbook. Keep track of all the negotiated terms to create a consistent process and terms over time. There's nothing worse than having to ask for permission for the same thing over and over. Negotiation isn't about winning, it's about finding a deal that works for both sides. So unless you're dealing with your utilities provider, all bets are off. Let's talk post-contract management. You've signed the dotted line, but the work isn't over yet. Here's how to keep things running smoothly after signing off. Ensure compliance. Both sides need to stick to the terms. You don't want to have negotiated an annual price increase only to find out years later that the vendor was increasing the pricing monthly. Monitor vendor performance. Are they delivering what they promised? When? And does it meet your standards? If not, it's time for a chat, or maybe start with a sternly worded email. Handle disputes. If something goes wrong, address it early. Ignoring problems doesn't make them go away, it just makes them bigger. Watch for renewals or amendments. Contracts can be like plants. If you don't tend to them, they either die or grow out of control. Pro tip, keeping a good relationship with your vendors isn't just good business, it's good karma. And we can all use a little more of that, right? So there you have it, a crash course in vendor contracts from the basics to post-contract management. Whether you're a small business owner, a procurement pro, or just someone trying to make sense of legal mumbo jumbo, I hope this helped you feel a little more confident to review those vendor contracts. Do you have any questions or tips of your own? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Bye for now.